It's a secret, but it's an open secret. It's plain to all, but only if you see and understand. Then don't you understand this parable? Then how will you understand any parable? It's a secret, but it's an open secret. It's plain to all, but only if you see and understand. Then Jesus said to them, don't you understand this parable? Then how will you understand any parable? It's a secret, but it's an open secret. It's plain to all, but only if you see and understand. Then don't you understand this parable? Then how will you understand any parable? It's a secret, but it's an open secret. It's plain to all, but only if you see and understand. Then Jesus said to them, don't you understand this parable? Then how will you understand any parables?
well. If it ain't that old raggedy crew, what do it do? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't want to stream today. I was tired. I was sleepy. I didn't like the tenor of the conversations in the corner as of late. But I couldn't let you guys down like that. I knew I would have my adoring dozens of folks who would wonder about me, would miss me, would think, oh man, if McMo's not chill streaming, what is he doing? Is he skipping the chill stream this week? Did he give up on us? Is he not feeling virtually not alone? Does he want to be virtually alone? Well, maybe. But regardless, I'm going to make some chill music. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Phlebas went way beyond his usual levels of concern. You know, that's probably a side effect of the tariffs kicking in. Sorry, brother. It's time y'all start paying your fair share. I don't know how any of that stuff works. But it's fun to pretend to and get into arguments online. I will say that. It is fun to pretend to be very knowledgeable. But with that, a couple things. I guess I'll just go ahead and get the music going, see if you guys like it. You know, it's very peaceful. It's very calm. It's very chill. I literally just did this like right before we started. You'll barely be able to hear it. But like always, if you hear this chill music and it makes you think of a clip, feel free to send it to me via Discord. And when you do, let me know about it in the chat. I'm going to be doing my best impersonation of Delilah. Try to keep it calm. Try to keep it smooth. Try to keep it steady. Yeah, Marcher is, I gave him the mod powers when he had been freshly banned from BOM. Thought it might be a little olive branch, a little olive wrench. We'll see. I just had an idea. It might be nice for me to get a like one of those Madonna mics, so it could just stick right here while I'm moving all around. Might make potty breaks more difficult. That's exactly what I wanted it to sound like. Howdy, RJ. Howdy, sir. Uh-oh. We lost the share screen. Chris Howard gets it. Dance party for very shy, very private people. General. Had a good Sunday stream there, General. I watched the replay on double speed. Making the AIs your dungeon what now? Your dungeon what? Your DM, but I can't remember what the M stands for. Dungeon what? Had a good video by CC Mule. Her continued self-disclosure has been nice. We've got Marcher in the comments. We got Neil in the comments. We got Grim, Chris, RJ, Nico, Phlebus. We're here on a chill Sunday. It's a Sunday I didn't want to stream. Didn't want to talk about Kierkegaard. Didn't want to get into the squabbly wobblies involved with the current political climate. But decided to get on. And look what we got now. We got a nice little cozy jam a la 2006, 2007. Uh-oh. You see that thing right there? That's a system overload notification. That means my system is overloaded. Listen in. What if the stream just ended right there?
Absolutely certain it cannot be deceived. And which deception is the more dangerous? whose recovery is the more doubtful, that of one who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Which is more doubtful, that of one who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at? Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one does not see, or his which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at? Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears? To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the deception consists merely in there being no love where it was supposed to be. But the self-deceived has excluded and does exclude himself from love. Does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see. Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at? Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears? To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the deception consists merely in there being no love where it was supposed to be.
Forgot my camera was still off. My computer's running really slow, though. It's not wanting to do all the things I want it to do. It's saying, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. For anybody new, we're just chilling out today. I might drop the link later. I might not. Might just have a chill, listen to some beats kind of vibes. Feel free to hang out in the comments. If you've got a video that you think would go with this, I'd be happy to replace the Kierkegaard. But I did place it because of all the Kierkegaard jokes I was getting in the comments. I saw them. So that's what we're up to today. Feel free to send me a clip. But no promises.
Irreparable loss. Eternity may yet richly compensate a man who all his life had been deceived by life, but the self-deceived has prevented himself from gaining the eternal. Oh, what has one whose love made him a victim of human deception really lost if in eternity it appears that love abides while the deception has ceased? But the one Chapter 1: The hidden life of love and its recognition by its fruits. For every tree is known by its own fruits. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather grapes. Luke 6:44. If it were true, as a conceited cleverness believes, proud of not being imposed upon, that one should believe nothing that one does not see with the sensual eye, then must one first and foremost cease to believe in love. And if one did this and did it for fear of being deceived, would one then not be deceived? One may be deceived in many ways. One may be deceived by believing the false, but one may also be deceived by not believing the true. One may be deceived by appearances, but one may also be deceived by the appearance of shrewdness, by the flattering conceit which is absolutely certain it cannot be deceived.
Go get him, General.
And which deception is the more dangerous? Whose recovery is the more doubtful? That of one who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Which is more difficult, to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at? Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears? To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the deception consists merely in there being who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see. Which is more difficult, to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at? Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears? To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see. Which is more difficult, to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at, were not the ridiculous here an even stronger who does not see, or his who sees and yet here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears. Who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see. Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at, were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears. To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see. Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at, were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears. To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the deception consists merely in there being no love where it was supposed to be. But the self-deceived has excluded and does exclude himself from love. Much has also been said about being deceived by life or in life, but one who self-deceived defrauded himself of living, has suffered an irreparable loss. Eternity may yet richly compensate a man who all his life had been deceived by life, but being no love where it was supposed to be. But the self-deceived has excluded and does exclude himself from love. Much has also been said about being deceived by life or in life, but one who self-deceived defrauded himself of living, has suffered an irreparable loss. Eternity may yet richly compensate a man who all his life had been deceived by life, but the self-deceived has prevented himself from gaining the eternal. Oh, what has one whose love made him a victim of human deception really lost if in eternity it appears that love abides while the deception has ceased? But the one who by shrewdness defrauded himself by cleverly falling into the snare of cleverness, even if throughout his whole life he conceitedly deemed himself lucky, what has he not lost if in eternity it appears that he defrauded himself? For a man may perhaps succeed in getting along in the temporal existence without love. He may succeed perhaps in getting through time without discovering the self-deception. He may perhaps succeed, how terrible, in continuing in his self-conceit, glorying in it. But in eternity he cannot do without love, and he cannot fail to discover that he has forfeited everything. How earnest, how terrible existence is, just when it chastises.
You know my favorite thing about that video? It was all yellow.
Chapter 1: The Hidden Life of Love and its Recognition by its fruits. For every tree is known by its own fruits. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather
grapes. Luke 6:44. If it were true, as a conceited cleverness believes, proud of not being imposed upon, that one should believe nothing that one does not see with the sensual eye, then must one first and foremost cease to believe in love. And if one did this and did it for fear of being deceived, would one then not be deceived? One may be deceived in many ways. One may be deceived by believing the false. But one may also be deceived by not believing the true. One may be deceived by appearances. But one may also be deceived by the appearance of shrewdness, by the flattering conceit which is absolutely certain it cannot be deceived. And which deception is the more dangerous? Whose recovery is the more doubtful? That of one who does not see, or his who sees and yet does not see? Which is more difficult to awaken one who is sleeping, or to awaken one who, awaking, dreams that he is awake? Which sight is more distressing, one which immediately and unequivocally moves one to tears, the sight of the unhappy deception of love, or that which in a certain sense might occasion laughter, the sight of the self-delusion whose foolish conceit of being incapable of being deceived is certainly ridiculous and something to laugh at. Were not the ridiculous here an even stronger expression for horror, because it indicates that the one self-deceived is not even worthy of tears. To defraud oneself of love is the most terrible deception of all. It is an eternal loss for which there is no compensation either here or in eternity. For if otherwise, however else it may differ, the question is about being deceived about love, then the victim still retains his hold on love, and the deception consists merely in there being no love where it was supposed to be.
So to answer this question, Dan, the answer is almost certainly not. The keyboard I use, this little guy right here, it has, you can see in the bubble here, but it's got pressure sensitive little things. So when I wiggle my finger, it changes the note. And sometimes when I'm like typing and stuff, my finger will hit this other button that changes the pitch. Yeah, so it's certainly not really in tune at all. But I kind of see past that because I like the way it sounds sometimes when it's out of tune.
Chapter 1: The Hidden Life of Love and its Recognition by its Fruits. For every tree is known by its own fruit. But precisely because love is the bond of the eternal, and because the temporal existence is the bond of the eternal, and because the temporal existence and eternity are heterogeneous, for that reason love may sometimes seem burdensome to the earthly prudence of the temporal existence, and therefore in this
goes out to Dan, but
may
this is
seem
also to everybody. If you're at home and you're playing along with me, you can send me what you're playing. Especially if you've got a way to listen plus your phone, you can have headphones on with a laptop or a computer and just play along, voice record. That's something very cool that you could do. Send it to me. I'll try to integrate it if I can. Yep. See, this is the voice of a robot. It's not a robot. It's actually just an algorithm. But an algorithm that you can put documents into. And I just so happen to have a copy of the public domain Works of Love by Kierkegaard. Fill out your Kierkegaard bingos. And so that's what this is. I had chapter 2, but I downloaded it on double speed because I didn't want it to be like 30 minutes long like this one is. But it doesn't sound as cool. So we're back on chapter 1.
Love is the bond of the eternal, and because the temporal existence and eternity are heterogeneous, for that reason love may sometimes seem burdensome to the earthly prudence of the temporal existence, and therefore in this existence it may seem a tremendous relief to the sensual man to cast off this bond of the eternal. The self-deceived man certainly believes that he can rely upon himself, moreover, that he has more than conquered. In his fool's conceit it is hidden from him how distressing his life is. That he has ceased to sorrow we shall not deny. But what advantage is this to him when his chance of salvation lies in his beginning in earnest to sorrow over himself? The self-deceived man even thinks perhaps that he is able to comfort others who were victims of a perfidious deception. But what madness for one who had sustained an eternal injury to wish to heal someone who at most is sick unto death. Through a strange contradiction, the self-deceived man perhaps believes that he is sympathetic with the unfortunate victims of a deception. But if you listen carefully to his consoling speech and healing wisdom, then you will know his love by its fruits, by its bitter mockery, by the shrewdness of its reasoning, by its poisonous spirit of mistrust, by the cutting coldness of its obduracy. That is, it will be known by its fruits that there is no love in his sympathy. We know the tree by its fruits. We do not gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles. If you try to gather them there, then you will not only gather in vain, but the thorns will prove to you that you gather in vain. For every tree is known by its own fruit. It may very well be that there are two fruits very closely resembling each other. The one is palatable and delicious, the other bitter and poisonous. Sometimes too the poisonous one is very palatable, the healthful one bitter to the taste. So also love is known by its own fruit. If a man makes a mistake, it must be either because he does not know how to judge rightly in this particular case, or because he does not know the fruits. Thus a man may make a mistake and call that love which is really self-love, when he is absolutely certain that he cannot live without the beloved, but he will listen to nothing about its being the task and requirement of love that a man should deny himself and renounce the selfishness of love. Or he may make a mistake and call a weak complacency by the name of love, or a demoralized whining, or harmful connections, or natural vanity, or selfish associations, or the bribery of flattery, or momentary imprescience, or relationships of the temporal existence, by the name of love. There is is a flower which is called the flower of eternity. But there is also, strange to say, a so-called everlasting flower which, like perishable flowers, blooms only at a certain time of year. What a misnomer to call the latter an everlasting flower. And yet at the time of blossoming it does not look so deceptive. But every tree is known by its own fruit, and love too is known by its fruit, and the love about which Christianity speaks is known by its own fruit because it has the truth of the eternal in it. All other love, whether, humanly speaking, it withers early and is changed, or cherished it endures throughout the temporal existence, is nevertheless perishable, it merely blooms. In this lies precisely its fragility and its sadness, whether it blossoms for an hour or for 70 years, it merely blossoms. But Christian love is eternal. Therefore no man who understands himself would think of saying of Christian love that it blossoms. No poet who understands himself would think of celebrating Christian love.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th, in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss, with special guests Cale Zeldin, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreher, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Pajot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
Right, I'm back. Steve Scott Schwartz, if you're going to be giving recs in the hive mind, you better get those recommendations right. You don't want a typo in the recommendations, my man. How are we doing out there, everyone? How are we doing? I guess I'll drop the link. I don't think anybody sent me a clip yet, but if you want to come in, feel free. We can have a chat. Yep, Grim, we're back, baby. We're back. It is a live stream. We're doing it live. I do like the idea of my voice just coming in to interrupt whatever you're up to. You were just jamming out for a second and CC made the cardinal sin in being a friend with Cassandra. There's only one S in her whole name, just one. And she's one of those folks, if I remember correctly, doesn't really like nicknames. Doesn't really like them. She really didn't like when Fairy David called her Cassandy. And that's all I think about now. Hey, Sherry's listening too. Yeah, I hope we surprised you out there too, Sherry. You know, shearing your sheep or, some other farm place chore. Oh no, my glasses. You can't see me without my glasses. Yep, Graham got Furry David to stick.
Love is the bond of the eternal.
I kind of take credit for that,
and
honestly.
Because
I do kind of take credit for that. This first part kind of sounds like, dare I say it, Sleep Token. Like, could you hear the British guy like, we swim in bloody rivers? Dan wanting to work on that proprietary beat. A beat that's proprietary proprietary. It's secret. We got nickname talk. Digging a trench from my Ethernet cable to my Earth dome. We're living in the future, people. We've got this this is a kind of Blade Runner intro. Yeah, Rigel, that Friday spot, that's a pretty crowded slot. It's a pretty crowded slot. Yep, Sherry, I was holding down the weekend basically to myself. Next thing I know, it's a very crowded lineup. Very crowded lineup. Actually, so this is the slowed down version of this song, very speeded down. I want to hear it when it's like kind of faster. Rigel, my advice would be to pick a night that's like a weekday night. That would be my best bet. If you didn't want to step on any toes, but here's the thing. Just step on the toes. There's enough internet to go around. You know, this place is primarily about participation. And sometimes when you're in a community, knitting club and swing dance will be on the same night. And people just have to choose. Okay? And that's just the world. That's just life. So it's okay. And the thing is too, it's recorded on the internet. So if something good happens, you know, you can just leave it there. So there's no toes on the internet. We're all disembodied avatars. As soon as it actually does start causing me physical pain for somebody else to be streaming at the same exact time as me, I'm not going to take it that seriously. But there are times when I've wanted to stream, but whatever was going on was probably, I was enjoying it more than I would have hosting the stream. So, yeah, just little things like that. Let's hear what it sounds like sped up. Ooh, Chad. Oh, we got something from Steven as well. Very cool. Let's pull up Scott's video.
gay married in my Catholic church, but I can't. But I'm going to go to my Catholic church. I'm going to go to my mass. I'm going to pick my priest. I want to go to my Catholic church. I want to be gay married. I'd love to be gay married in my Catholic church, but I can't. But I'm going to go to my Catholic church. I'm going to go to my mass. I'm going to pick my. I want to go to my Catholic church. I want to be gay married. I'd love to be gay married in my Catholic church, but I can't. But I'm going to go to my Catholic church. I'm going to go to my.
Brain.
I want to go to my Catholic church. I want to be gay married. I'd love to be gay married in my Catholic church.
You pulled a prank on me, bro. You pranked me. These were such beautiful vibes. You pranked me, bro.
Good question, Cece.
Test 1, 2. Well, you know, the link is out there. Grim posted it. I was in the groove as well. But I was trying to figure out if Grim had posted his own StreamYard or mine. Because for some reason I thought it would be very funny if he had started streaming and I could have joined his backstage. This is a little happier than the slow version. Oh yeah, we still got to put in Chad's. That was the other thing I was doing. I was waiting for Chad's stuff to down. Down to hang. I'm down to have a little combo. I've had the adrenaline bump of being in the limelight now. Started out the stream pretty down in the dumps. But as we slowly crank the vibes up on the music, you know, it's getting better, it's getting better. All right, so here is Chad's. Let's listen to slide 1 first. I hope it's a slip and slide.
I don't have a timing to give you, so I'll just play.
That's pretty funny. I really liked that when you counted off, it wasn't with the beat. It's going to sound really cool, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're in Never Never Land today, y'all. That would be a good clip, Steve. That would have been a good clip on probably any other chill stream. Or actually, that's more of a Saturday cook-up vibe, to be honest.
Interviewer is actually an amazing image of what you're talking about, because what you're doing is by asking the questions, you're framing the discourse, and you can give the authenticity.
If we don't have someone in the private chat, we have our very own. She made her first appearance in the corner, live on top of the fourth wall at the McMo stream. I think that was a Saturday cook-up. We have on this chill stream Cece Moole with a working animated avatar. Look at that, folks. Never before been done. She's dancing along with us. At least the kayfabe animation is. What's up?
Not much. How are you?
I am chilling. I was pretty tired this morning. I don't know why. My phone keeps echoing. Hold on. I'm just going to... Mick Mobile will be out. But yeah, basically just decided to stream anyway. And here we are. We've got this kind of sad / nice / chill beat. And I'm pretty happy with it so far. But I'm even more happy to be talking with you. How is your day going?
So far, so good. I do have an echo, but I don't know why. Do you have any
Oh,
advice?
that's because So in order for the people to hear the music, I have to basically create a little sound loop. And that sound loop makes a little delay when people get on. So it should be better now.
Okay. Excellent work. I've been really enjoying it. I've just been drawing and doing laundry most of the day, so I appreciate the chill beats.
Hell yeah. That's what we're here for, baby. Let's see.
So your inspiration for your chill beats, you said it was like 2006, you said, right?
Well, that's just what it ended up sounding like. I normally don't start creating with like an inspiration in mind. I just knew I wanted to be chill today, so the first thing that came to me were these chords that I played right before I pressed play. And if you go back and listen, you can hear them, but I'll just give you a little taste while I'm talking for a second, and then pull it back down so that you don't get an echo. But yeah, once I had that little chord progression, then that's enough to start building on. And so then you start building, and some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. But yeah, it's just kind of playtime at that point.
Very cool. Do you kind of like set out to like build it piece by piece, or do you kind of have once you hear those chords, do you have an idea how you want to make it in your mind?
Normally I don't kind of start with a platonic ideal in mind and work towards it. I prefer making art in a very emergent way, and so kind of happy little accidents. But that being said, like usually the way I like to work is to make like 1,000,000 demos and then pick like the 2 best and then work really, really hard on those. So what I do for the chill streams is kind of on the level of like a demo, and sometimes it doesn't even get to that quality, but that's what I do.
Whenever you do, what do you look for when you consider a piece like finished, or like when you're done fiddling around with it?
When I'm bored of it and it's more trouble than it's worth. That's the visceral feeling. I know when I have that feeling that I've just been working on it for a long time, and that I'm either there's something that's like unfixable, or I've just listened to it too many times. And so that's kind of a good trick to either take a break or it's done. And sometimes if I take a break, I'll come back to something and I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's done. So that happens a lot.
Huh. Very interesting.
I feel like it's a little different than drawing, because unless you draw in a very certain way, I feel like you kind of have to have an idea of what you're drawing before you start out. Like it's very rare for someone, like I have a couple people that show up on my algo where they'll like spill a thing of ink and then create a drawing from some like whatever ends up happening on the thing, and that can be pretty interesting. But for me that's not like a I don't know, that's not it doesn't seem like the exact same thing, or it seems like it's just kind of different than doing that with music.
Very interesting. No, I've definitely seen those videos too, and I think they're really interesting, and I think it's really cool like what that person can do with just those few lines and like make it work and everything. But I definitely feel like I'm more constrained. I have the idea, I put the idea down like in blanks, and then I build it up layer by layer, and like I do like the little details, and then once I sign my name, that's just done. I'm done with it. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Yeah, Luke, get on here. Pickens choose. Feel free to get on here. What does he say? Long comment here. I spent all week developing a trumpet-style instrument in Vital. Very satisfying when you finally get it after hours and hours and hours of frustration. That is true. That is true. I usually do not have the patience to kind of spend on intricate details like that unless I've already committed to an album or it's a project for somebody else. Then it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
In your music, what do you consider the details?
There's a whole lot of stuff. So, I mean, I could pull up the screen and kind of show you, I guess. That'd probably be the easiest way.
Sure.
But so each one of these horizontally represent a different instrument. So like down here, this is Chad. You're not going to be able to hear it unless I turn it up. But I'll just talk for this section and you'll be able to hear it. So that's Chad, and then this was like the thing I did, and then there's some other stuff. And so it just kind of builds up piece by piece. But so in the details, I would want to come in here and I could like change little notes around, or I could change the way this sounds. I could, instead of like just for a lot of things, just volume is like a very indelicate tool. You can use it delicately, but I usually just I use it as a giant knob to kind of get things in the right area. And when you work on the details, then you go into each sound and you make sure that it doesn't have certain frequencies on the low end, and you take out frequencies all throughout the entire spectrum of hearable sound from 20 hertz to 20K hertz. And you pull out the stuff that doesn't sound good, basically. But you do it down to the details so that when everything kind of comes in and joins later, it
don't have anything
better.
sticking out weirdly.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Huh. I've never seen a music program like this. Obviously, I have like the art programs and stuff, and like sometimes I'm like, there's way too many like switches and levers and tools in here.
Yeah.
But then looking at that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's even more.
Yeah, it's kind of like Photoshop for music. You could think of it like that. But anytime where you're going to have something time based, it does like it brings in a whole nother dimension. A whole nother dimension time. So yeah, I think that like that's because like the jump for you would be to animation, right? Like that's which I guess you are accomplishing, as the folks can see right over there.
Not really. They're just for these. It's like called the program. It's V-Attitude Mini, and there's only 4 images that you can like plug in, and then it just kind of does its own thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so is it utilizing? Well, we don't have to get into the weeds of it, but did you have to like create a skeleton, or does it do that for you?
I made like it's basically like a puppet on the art program. So each individual, like the legs, the arms, they're all separate. And then in that art program, I can manipulate them and then export that flat image into the program with those 4 slots.
Awesome. Well, Cece, we've got a new guest. He came to me via Paul Vanderclay, via Twitter, via email. Okay. Paul let me know that he had emailed me, and I checked the email, and then I saw that this guy had also reached out to Paul, wanted to talk to me. Turns out he's not far away from me. This is Dan, and now that we've got the 3 or more required to remove the VNA bubble because it becomes self-explanatory, here we are. Dan, welcome, sir. How are you? Can we get a microphone check for you, Dan?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sounds very nice and crispy.
Cool. I was getting some cacophony of like feedback.
Yeah, sometimes that happens if your YouTube's still playing, or if StreamYard isn't connected to the right, input or output.
Should
that could happen.
YouTube then?
Yeah, I would close YouTube or at least mute it. You can kind of comment through the StreamYard interface, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I'm posting the link because we've got more people wanting to come in. But
nice. Okay.
But yeah, Dan, welcome. Why don't you give us a short little intro? You gave it to me kind of via text, but it's so much better to hear it from your voice. And yeah, Phoebus recognizes you. He says you've been here for a long time, so that's cool.
Yeah. So I think I've been lurking around the TLC close to, I don't know, 4 years, something like that, and slowly becoming more emergent. I don't think I've been on anybody's stream before, but I've reached out to a couple of the individuals for one-on-one conversations and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I live in Virginia, so that's kind of my deal.
Yeah. Well, welcome, sir. Welcome. Ron, you're here. What's up, brother?
Chinese food and ice cream after hanging out with Jesus.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, did you come in with something to say? You were asking for the link, so one presumes that you've got some, you got the goods. You got to bring the goods now. We're on live in front of the whole internet, Ron. What do you got for us?
If a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
Well, a woodchuck could chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Okay, that's about all I got right now. I just wanted to say hi. Really, that's just being social. How's the...
Yeah, we've got the hive mind is going crazy, y'all. The hive mind is going crazy. So this is your first time breaking the fourth wall, Dan, and it happens to be with Cece, who I think this is her second time coming on to a live, and Ron, who comes on all of them whenever there's one, because he's a lonely old man. He's just got to.
I'm an old man. I need you, Mo. Come to me, McMo.
So Dan, you've been around for about 4 years. Phoebus recognizes you. So was that primarily the Jordan Peterson to Vanderclay pipeline? How'd you find yourselves in these lowly estuary waters?
Yeah, So I actually first found Peugeot, and then he was talking and made a kind of a one-off comment about Paul Vanderklay's perspective, and I don't remember what the topic was, but I remember just being like, let's see who that is. And I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. And then I came to find out that he was a CRC pastor. I was never a part of a CRC church or anything like that, but my late father was, and they're actually from the same area. So it's just kind of this weird connection. And then I started listening to Paul's videos and thought he was super interesting. And so.
Yeah, when I first saw Paul, I was not like that impressed with him, but I was immediately, I think on the second or third video I watched from him, I liked the video a lot. And I think he was one of the first people who it was kind of interesting because it was almost like that he was almost reporting on the like Peterson, Peugeot, like this kind of amalgamation that I kind of seen in my own head, just kind of following podcasts like, wow, why are all these people why is there this cool connection here? But I wasn't necessarily wowed by Paul. And I think that it actually wasn't until I had been lurking for like 3 or 4 months before I realized that, like, goodness gracious, I watch Paul Vanderklay every day of my life. Like he is in my ears more than anybody else. And so it was kind of this weird thing that I think kind of happened subtly without me really realizing it was going on. And for me, I don't know, I think a lot of people that I've talked to can relate to this in some way. It kind of coincided perfectly for me in this experience of kind of a distancing from a lot of my real life or meet space friendships and relationships. There was just a lot of people having life-changing events and no longer wanting to be my friend, and vice versa, I think. So it was just a weird time where I was kind of, and I don't mean to say that I had like big fallings out with like a bunch of people or anything like that. It was just kind of I just realized at that same time, kind of looking back, to like, oh yeah, this person that I used to be close with and hung out with every day, I don't see them anymore. This person who I used to text every day, I don't text them anymore. This person who used to call me once a week hasn't called in a while. And so it was like this buildup, so it kind of got to a place where I was like, if I don't participate in this TLC thing more intentionally, then I'm just going to be my life is just going to be about watching videos. Like I'm looking forward to, what do I do in life? I make my art and I watch YouTube videos, and then I work a day job and rinse and repeat. And so I think it was like really, I don't know, it was obviously God's timing or something, but that kind of synchronicity of the loss of a community and having lived outside of a church community for so long, and then kind of jumping into TLC and finding all of these people who are very friendly and willing to listen to me ramble about Kierkegaard. It's been a pretty cool experience. So now I've given my testimony as to how I got in the TLC, I guess, which is only right, seeing as how it's my stream. But so what made you and you don't have to get too personal, but kind of what made you decide to maybe reach out to Paul about me, or what made you want to, pop up on a live stream, make your face known?
I heard some things that you said on some of the streams that kind of resonated. Not to the point where I'm like, I know exactly what they were in this moment. You know what I mean? But being like, okay. And that's not something that I experience a lot. I'm a little bit of an odd duck, at least in conversation with people. I find like, man, I see the world really differently than most people. And I've come to terms with that. Like, that's okay. Like, that's part of how I'm made. But there's also a way in which that can be kind of alien. Like, it can be too much. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I just want to have someone go like, okay, I see what you mean once. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see what you mean.
Especially because I think, I don't want to get over my skis here, but I feel like we're kind of in a age of media with a lot of gaslighting. And so while an echo chamber isn't a good thing per se, like an artificial gaslighting echo chamber around you can kind of like make you feel like.
I like to make my gaslighting obvious.
There you go.
Like when I tell people, You remember when you clicked on the link in the description and went to my Ko-Fi and decided to become a member of the Tears for Fears tier, and you got access to all of my songs that I've made on live streams, and you can go back and you can just download any of that, and they're MP3s. You can put them on your MP3 player. You could burn them to a CD, a CD-ROM.
Yeah.
If you're Ron, you could send them off to a company that will create for you vinyl record singles.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I mean, it would take a little capital, but not that much, you know? If that's something that you guys want, if you want the McMo live streams on vinyl, all you have to do is donate to my Ko-Fi and say, you know, and it takes probably a couple $100, but that's, you know, if that's how bad you want it, that's how bad you want it. But we could get a run of like, you know, 10 to 50 vinyls. Maybe we'd even put some of the conversations on them. You know, let's start collecting some of the all-time great live streams. Then at the end of the year or the end of the quarter or what have you,
right,
we could just release a vinyl pressing.
Oh, with an album cover, dude.
Yes.
Album
A holographic album cover. Yeah, see, we've got the ideas. You know, we're gonna make this a very profitable venture for anyone who's concerned out there. You know, and we've got some more. Fleba says Dan is my Frisian brother with that last name.
Wait, so we can? You're showing the YouTube comments, even though we're in StreamYard?
Yes. Oh. So you should be able to comment in StreamYard. Sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't work for some people. If you're on the app, I found that the app does not work. But if you're on just like your Safari on your phone or on your laptop, then that's when it should work.
Okay. I'll just
Everything
jump back
made
and
more
forth.
sense now. Oh my gosh. I see the little tab now, the private chat in the comments. I see it.
There you go. Yep, we're learning, folks. We're learning.
Let's try. You can do it.
LOL. I don't even know if I think that is my Venmo. Maybe I should double check. You could Venmo me. I would accept your payment on Venmo. Maybe I should hype up my Venmo more. No, I don't want to. It's connected to my government name.
Oh. No.
Just donate through the Ko-Fi. But just so you know, if you do donate through the Ko-Fi and you're one of these folks who likes to say pseudonymous online, I can see your government name when you donate through certain vectors on the Ko-Fi. And I don't mean that to dissuade anyone. I mean if you're going to be smart enough to have a real pseudonym, a nickname that, you know, serves, that keeps your real identity safe, you're going to need to be smart enough to know how to transfer funds anonymously. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're a spy out there and you want to give me a little cash on the side to make sure I say the right things and don't say certain things on the stream, my Ko-Fi link is open. Just let me know, folks. All it is, I'm not expensive. You can buy me right now. I'll start saying whatever. I'm just kidding. I'm embarrassing Marcher. All right. That was my little spiel. I don't even remember what that was off of now. Something Dan said. Forgive me. I had to griff. Maybe we need some branding to cleanse the palate.
So Mo, I wrote a test comment here in StreamYard. Can you see that?
Let's see. The boom said, I think that the boom was in the private chat. Yeah. Oh, let's try. Okay. Yeah, let's try. So there's a difference between the chat and the comments.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're helping me out. I love it. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Marcher.
Dan, so you said you kind of got into all of this via, was it Jonathan Peugeot?
Yeah, he mentioned PVK, and then I found Paul's channel that way.
What about, so Peugeot and Vervaeke, they're like everybody's sweethearts, and I don't know. They never blew my skirt up, so I don't know very much about them. But what kind of got your attention with Peugeot?
With Peugeot or PVK?
Peugeot.
Okay. definitely the symbolism piece of it. You know, I grew up in a Protestant context, very low church, and you know, those were the waters that I was swimming in. So I didn't realize the extent to which things that were symbolic or symbolic adjacent were just not a part of my perception. And as a result, a lot of things just don't make sense without a symbolic lens. And so over time, I think I would sort of push those things to the side. Well, like, yeah, you know, I still believe, but gosh, what is that? That's so random, you know? So around, I guess, yeah, it was around 2021 or so, or still a lot of COVID stuff going on. And I got deep into a lot of his videos, and it really helped me understand the world in a way that I didn't before.
Dan, I hate to interrupt.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I hate to interrupt everyone, but we've got PVK. Oh no, he left. We had PVK live from the Freddie and Paul show backstage. But what Dan was saying was more important, and I didn't want to interrupt, so he left. But we do have Timmy.
I'm always happy to pause for PVK.
We have Timmy, Teo, Timmy, Teo. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Anytime you join, I fear that the conversation. I must not have been handling the conversation well enough. You know, you're like, it's time for a pro to come in and.
Well, to be fair, I was going to it, and CC actually took up the slack and got back on the randos.
So now we're on.
All right, we've got PVK. Let's go full screen here.
We've got to say hi.
What's up, homeboy? What's up?
What's
Big
up,
Mo?
Freddie D?
I love that, yo. What's happening, homeboy? Love that beat. My
Freddie
boy
D.
Charles J, man. I will always care, man.
Charles J, Freddie D in the place to be.
Baby, come on now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Put the beat on. Let's do a rap, Charles. Yeah, we're going to do it right now. All right, let's do it.
Live on the McMo stream.
What's up, Mac Mo? You make beats for me because it's like trick or treat, more like Christmas. He saved the earth. He gave Christ. He was at birth from Mary, and nothing was scary. Doing a big thing, and you know we got it going on like that. The beat goes off. The beat goes off, and then it's time to call. Rapping. Right. So, McMo, what's up, homeboy?
Nothing much, man. We're just chilling on the Sunday chill stream.
Hey, man, I need some more beats, man, because I want to get in the studio.
Post them on YouTube. I'll post them on YouTube, and just post them unlisted, and then give me the link so that way we can just play them off YouTube.
All right. Yeah, I can do that.
Right on, McMo. Who are you for in the Super Bowl next week?
Ooh, who am I rooting for? I think I'm rooting for the defense. I think I'm rooting for the defense. Whoever has the ball, I'm rooting against them.
The Eagles, not Kansas City.
My Niners.
But Weston likes Kansas City.
Weston likes. Yeah, we got a Chiefs fan here.
Uh-oh.
He likes Mahomes.
Uh-oh. I like Taylor Swift.
Like the Eagles?
I like Taylor Swift, but I think I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles.
I love it, Big Boy. I love
Janet
it.
Jackson.
All right, hit that beat. Let's rap.
Are we rapping some more?
We want people to hear
Hit that beat.
Turn up. What's up, y'all?
Let somebody else rap now. How about that beat?
When I speak, you will listen because I am given. I open up the Bible and I make a decision. The vision's this. So don't diss. I might be white. Don't fight. And like I said, early guy, like my beans and rice. He's like organs, don't you see? When Charles walks down the street, he's got a honey on his side, ready to ride. But he's a Christian, so he don't hide. He lets it be known that he has shown big improvements, really, though.
And as of course the beat is going off as it always do.
All right.
All right, we can talk.
All right. Anything else you want? We got to let Weston say something. Weston's here all the way from Kansas City.
Yeah. Hello. Thanks for hosting me here at Living Stones.
Right on, man.
It's an honor to be on the Freddie and Paul show. Go Chiefs.
Right on.
And that's all I got to say.
Wow.
All right.
Okay, Charles, tell them about the music thing. Can you?
Oh, well, we do live music.
You're on the McMo live stream. You better take advantage of the
This is
the
prime real
publicity.
estate.
Okay, well, this is the Charles Jennings channel, also on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. This is Fred Schuler. What's your TikTok channel or what's your YouTube channel?
YouTube channel, Fred Schuler.
Fred Schuler. Any YouTube channels here? Nope. No more. Okay.
Get your plugs
singer,
in.
dancer, rapper, music
Get your
producer,
plugs.
stage actor, ex-Michael Jackson impersonator, radio personality, future rap star, and future overall superstar and God star. There you go.
There you go.
We all got it, and Paul is good too.
Yeah, Pastor Paulie P.
He makes
Pastor
it all
Paulie
act. Yeah, he makes it happen,
You can rap
Captain.
too. You can rap too.
And he's the one that does the show for us. And I thank Paul because he knows it all.
So we also have another flute player over here, and also another future rap star, Chemo.
Timo got the assist over here.
Ooh, a Timo reveal.
YouTube channel now.
Let's hear Chemo. You want to rap, Chemo?
PBK just exposing everybody.
I got to get home this afternoon.
All right.
Go, Keith.
All right. Thank you, McMo.
Go, Eagles.
Bye, everyone. Good to see you guys.
Bye, everyone. One love.
All right.
One up.
One love. Well, now CC's the biggest. Well, that was a pleasant surprise. That's a new one. I never thought I'd see the day where my show would get, Grim Grizz on the first time I ever live streamed, Grim Grizz went full pirate and just kind of took over. And I was actually very appreciative of it because I didn't know what I was doing. PVK, on the other hand, he just commandeers your vessel, and he's like, "Yeah, welcome to the Freddie and Paul show. This is going live out to the people," and they delivered. They absolutely delivered. So this has become an all-time episode.
Hey,
We got
McMullen.
Dan here. Dan, I'm struggling to remember. Are you the guy who emailed me or the guy who we talked on the phone?
We emailed. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And we texted a little bit.
Now I'm like, I remember now. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy, and for a split second, I thought, oh no, this is not the guy who plays guitar and is good with music. This is the other guy who I talked to, which I'm not even going to tell you what we talked about, but
Okay.
yeah. So that's helpful for me. It's not like anything. He wasn't going through anything bad. It was just more personal or private, and so I was just I was realizing as I was explaining that I didn't want to out him either. So
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I remembered which one, or that you let me know which one is which. Joy says we've got a streamception going on. CC's going to change laundry. She'll be right back. I don't know why she's... Let's see. We'll switch it like that so that the people with faces are on top. Ooh. So what were we talking about?
Symbols
We're
and
talking
Dan.
about Dan and Dan's. Cece was asking Dan questions about his foray into the Jonathan Peugeot world. He said there was something
And how to change you.
a world-changing perspective that you encountered.
Yeah, and I read Jonathan's brother's book a couple times, and that the symbolic world content was really illuminating for me, and especially as I have 3 children now, and so I'm also often thinking through the parental frame, and symbolism is a really powerful explanatory tool for when you're having conversations with children, because they actually naturally see the world symbolically, I think. And it occurred to me that I had unlearned that, that I was born with that. I lost it, disenchantment, essentially. And then so to get that back right at the moment when I need it most is really helpful. And then the other conversations too that happen on the regular in TLC, they seem important to me, and they're things that I've kind of wanted to talk to people about in the past, but when I've tried, it hasn't gone well, or people have just kind of been annoyed and confused.
Can I ask, before your re-enchantments with symbolism through Peugeot, what perspective, what worldview were you coming from out of?
What worldview
Yeah,
generally?
was it a Christian worldview or more secular one? Or
Yeah, I would say definitely Christian, but uh, a fairly shallow Protestant brand, I guess.
the Protestant shade. There it is.
Well, no, I mean, I still consider
No,
myself
I
a
kid,
Protestant. Yeah.
I kid. But there is almost an eventuality to the Peugeot's pipeline where there's a little bit of a Protestant stank that you encounter.
Blessed are they when you're persecuted. You know, blessed are you when they persecute you. Protestants keep winning.
But yeah, so you more shallow Protestants, but then you encountered. Have you been following the PVK's emergent thesis? Do you sort of fall into that?
Was I like part of the emergent church? Is that what you mean?
As in, were in terms of your Christian journey, was it just straight up from your local Protestant church into encountering Peugeot, or were you following more modern Christian things such as the emergence people, the conversation around that as it was going on?
I definitely wasn't following it at the time. I think it triggered some sensibilities in me at the time. I was a little bit less open probably than I am now. And, looking back, I think I was intuitively sensing some of what maybe wasn't right, or at least in my eyes, maybe it wasn't right with that movement. But missing the fact that they were getting at something that was right, if that makes sense, or at least they were reaching for it.
Okay, but you were somewhat aware of them.
I think I was aware of the ideas, but I wasn't aware of the movement per se.
We lost Ron, and it looks like Cece is going to be leaving us shortly as well. But please continue.
I was saying bye to Ron, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh. Totally misunderstood. Sorry about that. Somebody's got the Horns of Gondor text thing going on.
That's me. Sorry about that.
Well, you've come to a stand at the turning of the tide, you know?
Yeah.
So, wait, did you say what type of Protestant you consider yourself these days?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't. So for about the last couple of years, we've been attending an Anglican church. It's like a high church Anglican. So it's high church enough that a lot of Protestants would probably consider it Catholics, but Catholics probably wouldn't consider it Catholic, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with those types of Anglicans.
Are you? Okay. Say more about that.
I'm not super familiar with that. Yeah, I'll say a little McMo about that. So I never went to that style of Anglican, but there were a few examples in the town I grew up in, and I've listened to a number of podcasts from people who are Anglican, and the thing I've liked about them is the Protestant saints. Like, it's really cool to me that we have some of our own saints. Not that they are, I'm not trying to get into the deep waters. I just thought it was kind of aesthetically, I liked it. Now, ethically and religiously, I have different opinions depending on who I'm talking to. But yeah, that's what I remember liking about them. That kind of high Anglican. Yeah, they are almost. What's that guy's name? I feel like there's a pastor. He might be Lutheran though. His name, I want to say his name's also Jordan, but I could be misremembering.
You're not thinking of Calvin Robinson, are you?
I don't think so. No, I think I would have remembered his name if it was Calvin. Okay. Yeah, is that the guy that just got defrocked?
That's the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or I don't know the details. There was some dust up with him. I don't know the details, but
Yeah. Jacob had a pretty big stream about it. He did like the Nazi salute ironically or something, and so but it was obviously definitely way worse than when Elon did it. So, there are things to consider and whatnot.
Mhm.
But Cece, what do you think about the Holy Roman salute? I'm sorry. I should not go off cam when I say things like that. It's incendiary.
I don't know that I have a public opinion about it.
You don't have a public opinion. Very well done. Very well done. Yeah. What a great answer. Yeah, John God gets it. When there's a PC will, there's a PC way.
Dan, I don't know if I missed it whenever I was changing laundry or not, but what kind of made the jump from lurking to participating, I guess?
That's a good question. I mean, I knew a part of me was just like, man, you can't just like watch videos all day. Like, because I do want to connect with other people in real life too. And I'd like to set up an estuary maybe or something similar. I live in a very low population density area. And so, finding like-minded people is a little bit difficult, but I thought like a good stepping stone might be reaching out directly to some of the people that I've resonated with. So like I had a conversation with Neil and a couple of the other guys and reached out to Mo this past week.
So when you say like-minded people, are you talking about people like that just want to talk about it? Or are you talking about people that want to talk about a specific subject? Just kind of what do you mean by that?
The kind of people that think it's worthwhile to discuss the things that we discuss in TLC, I would say.
I guess maybe that's a foul on me for not wording that better. So I kind of split the TLC up as like goofing off and like actual religion stuff. So, but I think they're kind of intertwined. But I don't know. I'm always on my AI. What does it mean to be on the internet train sort of thing. So I'm interested in like ethics questions that have to do with developing technology in our real world and how that might impact and kind of hypos for that. But then there's also the more like religious side where it's it's the religion stuff.
Okay. Before I answer any question, could I just get a sense of where you're coming from? Like, I don't.
Well, let me interject because I'm God's silliest goose, proving Cece's dichotomy just inexplicable. Because the silly and the theological are not distant. They're not enemies. If they're far apart, it's because they're distant cousins. But yeah, speaking for Cece because it's my stream. One of the things I like about her is that she treats the internet as basically a place for funny, haha, laugh times and not taking things too seriously. She's also had a fairly recent decision towards Christianity that was, well, I'll let her talk about why she came to that, but that's my understanding. But Cece, fill in the gaps for me, please.
Sure, I would definitely agree that the ethics and the religion, they're not really all that separate, but I think when you're having the different conversations on those different topics, I think the kind of maybe the rules of the conversation are a little bit different, where it's a much more like speculative and hypothetical whenever you're talking about like the possible technology and stuff. But the recent turn towards Christianity, I think, is because I think it makes me a better person. I think I'm all about the beautiful city, okay? Like the concept of just the beautiful city and how to live the good life. And I think to live a good life, you have to work towards the beautiful city. And I think Christianity gives me the tools to better myself personally, to better work towards the beautiful city. So if Christianity didn't fulfill that, then I don't think it would be a viable option. But also there's the real like in-person human aspect of Christianity that it makes me easy. I think it's easier to learn to love people through Christianity than it is any other way. If that answers the question.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Very interesting. I wanted to not let Chad go without a warm welcome. Welcome, brother. What's on the mind?
I just wanted to say, I thought it was Jordan B. Cooper was the Jordan you were thinking of.
Yep, that was it. That was it.
I
can't remember if he's Anglican, though.
No, he's Lutheran of some sort. Some sort of Lutheran publisher, basically. No, I'm listening. I wanted to hang out a little bit. I was going to do nothing today because I've been having a bit of a rebellious streak of not wanting to do shit. And I'm like sitting on the edge of my responsibilities with not doing any of my TLC worldly news shit. And I decided, well, I'll just come and listen and be virtually on alone, and maybe I'll do some editing while I'm listening. I can get off screen though if you want.
No, we accept all comers. Young God has a question for CC's. CC's Pizza. You Chinese, CC?
I'm not.
I thought you were gonna pull the I do not have a public answer to that, which would have been very funny.
I'm not trying to hide the ball. I just don't think I have a public opinion about some things.
I do not have a public opinion on whether or not CC is Chinese. March are saying that Chad is like Wilson from Home Improvement. Absolutely. You do kind of look like Wilson too, at least from the glabella up.
Mm-hmm. The archetype of Wilson is a very interesting one that I've thought a lot about. Because it shows up all over the place, especially the Wilson I understand is a friend who helps his friends and usually is anonymous in some fashion. So Wilson the Ball on Castaway, Wilson from Home Improvement, Bill Wilson from AA. There's other examples of this that I've noticed, but yeah.
That I didn't even think of the Wilson. So do you think Wilson the volleyball? But this is maybe a good question. Of all of those Wilsons, which ones were in AA, needed to be in AA, does not apply because inanimate object?
Probably C. He's a very stoic Wilson.
Not a lot of for somebody who's been through AAA, that Wilson did not have the level of story that one comes to expect from real alcoholics. They almost always have a good story, at the very least.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's an interesting thing that I figured out, and I think I don't know, I just call it the archetype of Wilson. It's a real thing. I will listen now.
I love that. Well, that is a good question. CC, what have you thought much about the role of the quote unquote neighbor in your beautiful city?
Sure, and I guess maybe this is my beef with Luke Thompson, okay? Because his entire Christiano anarchy thing, where everything beyond the family is like a from the devil type thing. I think there is a comfortable spot for the public in everyone's world thinking. I think there's like the center family, and then there's the public, and then the society or the city, that type of thing. And I think that it's each person's civic responsibility to work towards a healthy and thriving public. So that's, I think, the role of the neighbor is to kind of make that happen.
Just going off that point and to circle back to what Dan was saying earlier about finding like-minded people to start an estuary with, is that a neighborly act, or is that a selfish act of indulging yourself in the conversations that you want to be a part of?
I think it can be both, but I think the center of what everyone is aiming at should kind of direct everyone's goal, if that makes sense, the higher goal. And I think, at least for me personally, that probably needs to be Christianity and loving the public and my family in a Christ-like way. But I understand that that's a journey, and I probably am a selfish person because maybe in my mind, I think it's easier to love the public sometimes than it is to love the person in front of you.
That's
Not
something
to brag.
I would agree with. That was the title of his last stream, I think.
What does it mean to love the public? How would one, if one wanted to love the public, how would one even go about that?
I think it's by doing the jobs that no one else wants to do, because we got to have the roads paved, we got to have the garbage picked up, and somebody needs to do that job. And I think that doing those jobs, even if they're unpleasant, is something worthwhile and something that people should be respected for. So I think it's just doing the work, even if you don't want to do it, but doing the work that needs to be done.
CC playing the role of Mike Rowe in today's stream. It's a great.
They aren't that hard to roll. They really aren't. They're actually, the dividends that pay out from them are quite good. I don't know. Somewhere along the way, I think we were gaslit about jobs such as garbage man, whatever, or whatever the job is. It's like, yeah, but those guys are the ones who are making steady income, who are, as you say, are taking care of the public and have, some security as far as, all the things that the blue churchy security, like things that we get out of that, like a pension and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I'm right there with you. Like, I don't know why those jobs aren't being flooded right now with people.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if there is a distinction that needs to be made, like if it's loving the public to do like the dirtiest job one can find, or how would you distinguish? And Sherry made a good point earlier too about the difference between the public and the body. And I do think that there is a sense in which when you start talking about the public, you're talking about such an amalgamation of not only like desires and things like that, but also just like different personalities, different interpretations, all of that stuff. And so the public is a very interesting idea, and what serves the public and what's good for the public seems like it can be a very tricky question. And we've got two more guests. I'm going to let Neil in. Alan, I'm going to need to see some sort of confirmation that you are who you say you are, and Neil's gone. So that's funny.
I got a question about this loving the public. Sure. This morning at church, I heard this story. We were talking with some farmers in our town. They're actually chicken farmers and egg farmers. Excuse me. So they farm the eggs. Look at this. What is happening?
Well, I saw someone impersonating me, and I took it personally. So if we're all personal up in this relational, personal space,
All right. I see you, Alan. You can take the camera off if you want.
All right. It pains me to say this because I can tell this stream is about to get really good. Not that it wasn't, but it's going to get next level. But I got some friends coming over for Chinese New Year, and in real life, it's got to come first, But
that's right. Thanks for stopping by, Dan.
A good first experience here on the stream, so thank you.
Yeah, could have been worse. Could have been worse.
Right. I'll say. All right. Take care.
I'll take you off the screen, and feel free to leave at your leisure. Oh boy, that is a little bit more comfy though when we just get the 6 streams rather than the 7. It's nice. We got a nice even shape here.
Yeah.
Alan, the McModalist, what have you to say? Although I do feel like I interrupted you, Chad. So maybe Chad go first, or not, and then Alan or not, and then Neil or not.
Chad, hurry up so I can say what I want to say, okay?
So these farmers were telling me about like what happened with the eggs, and like, so is this is this an example of loving the public? Okay. Is that the question? How do you love the public?
Yes.
Okay. So it's something like less than 1% of all of the chickens could get sick, right? And they might get sick somehow by, usually it's something in the wild that passes along the illness. And oh, you bastard! Get out of here. Anyhow, something in the wild, some bird in the wild could pass along the illness. 1% of all their flock can get sick. The government has said that you have to kill the entire flock, plus you have to pay for it. Is that loving the public? And here's the weird thing. We asked, what happens if you eat a bird that has SARS? They're like, nobody has any idea. What? So like nothing can happen if you eat an egg with SARS or a chicken with SARS. So like nothing can happen, and we have to, and the farmer has to pay for its entire flock. Plus, they can't put birds on that land for like the next 5 years. Is that loving the public?
No, well, we don't do that.
Anyways, that's what I want to say. Your turn.
I would say no. That is not loving the public. But Neil, Alan, what say you, sirs? Welcome.
I saw Freddie D on the stream. I saw CC on the stream. I saw Dan on the stream. I saw Chad jump in. I was like, oh, I got to be on this legendary stream. So that's it. Go ahead, Alan.
What's up, party people? Yeah. Hi, CC. Nice to meet you. I'm Corner
Good to meet
Citizen
you.
Alan. Yeah, the once we made a division between comedy and theology, big problems. Well, it's funny because I think it actually lines up with what you said about the holy city, as well. CC is like we can't separate ourselves. We can't separate the parts of ourselves. We can't even separate ourselves in front of God. And what I mean by that is if you think about Mark chapter 9, verse 24, the man with the demon-possessed son, Jesus comes upon the disciples, they're trying to cast out a demon, and he's like, what is the problem here? With faith you can do this, and even the disciples can't do it. And the man who has the demon-possessed son is like, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And then Jesus casts out the demon. So it's like the guy has to just say like, hey, I believe, Lord. But when we're fake, when we're like, Lord, I'm just such a good Christian and you should give me good stuff because I love you so much, like we're just hiding the parts of ourselves that aren't that way. So, we have to be honest to God and we have to bring our full selves and say like, Lord, I believe in you, but I also have unbelief in my heart. And then the Lord's like, okay, yeah, I can do this through this. So the way I'm going to connect that up with the city is like, the city of God is at hand. The city of God is within us. It's like, yeah, there's ugliness and bitterness and unforgiveness, and I'm a nasty person who has no forgiveness for someone who embarrassed me in 6th grade in front of a pretty girl. I'm still mad at them, but like, this is also the person who's going to be glorified in heaven with God for eternity. So it's like building that city. You can't go around the people. You have to go with the people. You have to transform the people. So to get to finally turn the ship all the way around is like the comedy and the laughing and the being together. Like, yes, it can look separate, but there's no blowing of the whistle and being like, well, we did the comedy and now we're going to do the serious stuff. The only reason that people here can talk about Kierkegaard and, talk about the church fathers is because they have this connection to one another and this commitment and trust with one another. So it's like there's no denying like, well, this is the theological part of myself and then there's the jokey part of myself. There's only like ourselves. So yeah, so that was just the point I wanted to make, is like there's no separating the city. The same person who's mean and nasty and making crude jokes is also the person who's going to be reign and rule in glory with God in heaven. So therefore I'm allowed to make whatever joke I want to make and God gives me a free pass. So that's how I justify it to my pastor. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
Can you start
Do you
over? I
think-
didn't
oh, go ahead.
catch any of that. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, I came on just to be funny. McMo knows that I just like to pop on the streams just to be not serious and funny. So that's what I did.
Alan and Cece, do you interpret it as the kingdom of God is within you or the kingdom of God is among you?
I think it's like the event horizon, right, where it switches from one to the other, and that I guess maybe is what I think living your life is kind of the paradox of inside, outside. You're kind of making it all together, and ideally you would have it inside yourself as well, obviously, and it would kind of bloom outside of yourself. I don't know exactly how that works, but it seems like it's both.
Yeah, so the concept of a city, I think in my journey, I've steadily prioritized the this is ironic, right? Because it's the postmodern flip. It's the postmodern critique. I've steadily prioritized the subjective over the quote unquote objective. Or I think a better way of putting that is prioritizing the subjective objective over the physical objective. Because I think about things like Jesus saying, "Every mountain will be laid low, every valley will be lowered." And so, what does it mean to have a city? I think it's something like the way Chad thinks of play. I think that's what attracted me to Chad so much, because Chad's this person that the whole point of a city is to have good defenses. So something gets lobbed at the city, and the walls can protect and defend. And Chad doesn't have any walls, and he allows his city to be demolished, and then he just comes back, right where it left off. And that like Chad is resurrected every single day. That's what it feels like to me. It's like he'd be in like a terrible mood one day, and then the next day he's like, "Yo, have you seen this?" I'm like, "Let's go, let's do it." Like the constant death and resurrection of, that's what going to sleep and waking up is. Yeah. So I think about
when you
the
say
idea of a
that the
city.
primary purpose of a city is like the walls and like protecting it, is that the primary purpose of the city?
No, it's when Grimm says something like protect the sacred, although he hasn't been talking about that much now, but he's like, you're part of it now, protect the sacred. So the city would be, you'd have the sacred at the center, and then you have everyone gathered around the sacred to a lesser or greater capacity. And then you have something surrounding those that are gathered in the right spirit, you could say, to protect them from whatever's outside of that spirit.
So it is the people that are protecting the city rather than the spirit of the sacred in this.
No, I think my definition would be something like, do not be anxious about your life. When Jesus talks about, don't think about what you're going to wear, what you're going to say, or what you're going to do, or what you're going to eat. But know that your Heavenly Father has all these things and will bring them into the city. And if your city is destroyed, that's your Heavenly Father's will. Yeah, so it's not that there's not things worth protecting. That's not true. But I think of it more in terms of what gaineth a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul. And so that's what I mean by the elevation of the subjective. It's more of the objective subjective. It's more of the reality of your personal decisions. No, it doesn't matter the circumstances that I am in. No matter the circumstances, I can still choose to be moral. Even if it's impossibly difficult, I can choose to be moral. That's the right city.
Neil, well, hey Neil, what's going on? Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been a while, Alan. We got to catch up.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that is, yes, that is the spirit that knits all things together for good. But there's nothing beyond yourself to protect other than your relationship to God, because how would you know that anything is worth protecting outside of God, outside of what you receive from God? So it's like, is the thing inside of me? Is it outside of me? It's coming from knowing God. All these things are reflecting God. So you see your primary thing is your relationship to God. You see that, and then you see all the things that reflect the goodness of God, and then you can see the value in them. But how could we even act without, like, an act and know that it's good without primarily saying, like, no, I refuse, McMo. I will be unaesthetic. I'm sorry, I can't be a hipster like you. But, sorry, not to, I mean, I'm just adding on to your point, Neil, because it was a really good one, but just that that you can't protect anything without first saying this is good or this is what I value. So where's that going to come from besides your relationship to God?
Right, Joe. You've been waiting patiently for a while.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. What says
good.
you about the topic at hand, or how's it going over there?
Yeah. Well, I was actually just thinking about what I see Sherry's comment popping up here. Are we a city or a temple or a tabernacle? And as you guys were talking about this, how do you love the public, the thing that I thought about is a garden, like tending the garden of this postage stamp that I occupy on Earth. And in that process, it's, I mean, what do I really have control over that's outside of what's under my feet and under my groundless ground feet of the TLC, vibing on the internet.
Under your skin.
Sorry. I'm sitting at my piano as well. But what came to mind was also.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, Chad. Okay.
We got like 4 musical people in here.
Yeah.
I don't have my
change.
drums because I'm in the McModalist studio, but yeah.
There are some Tom Waits lyrics. Yeah, Tom Waits lyrics that go, "It's got to be more than flesh and bone. All that you've loved is all you own." And I think there's something paradoxical about ownership and love and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Ownership, love, responsibility, and my neighbor.
What about revelation?
Ooh.
You have to throw a revelation in there because that holds us together.
That's why the gates of the city have to be open or receive something from above.
I'm down with that.
But sometimes revelation is just like, let's sit and be still and do all those other things that you're speaking of, which are vitally important. Wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, remember to wipe my ass when I'm done taking a shit, give my loved ones hugs, make breakfast. Like simple things are very theological, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of going to get too serious. I should probably leave, but hey, Rigel, great to see you, man. Did you get to check out that Bill Murray yet, bro?
I checked out. Yeah. I checked out like a list of your songs, and I can't remember which name maps to which thing that I checked out.
If you don't have I'm still getting these concussions, throw my head against the wall. If you don't have that stuck in your head yet, you haven't listened to the Bill Murray. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well,
I listened to like a live concert.
Oh,
I think of Bill Murray.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
Chad.
McMosa, thanks for letting me throw some guitar, some slide guitar. I recorded that slide guitar using an olive oil bottle on this acoustic guitar.
That's why it sounded so Italian. I love it.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, while the musicians are here, and then we can go back to how to love the public, because I think it's a really interesting topic. Have you guys ever tried like jamming together through StreamYard? Is there a short enough, I don't know, lag
No.
that you can?
The answer is no. Ain't no way in God's green earth are we using StreamYard to record. Now, what we have figured out how to do, and this is mostly because of Chad, is he will play when I'm making a beat. He'll play as I'm looping it. He'll play it in his ears, and if there's a good chunk, he'll just loop that chunk for himself and record a voice memo on his phone, playing with it. So,
yeah, I heard that today.
Yeah, so that's the best way we've found to do it. I know that there are.
It's a cool way too.
Yeah, there are ways to do it. Pro Tools, I believe, has the best kind of streaming share. You can share studio sessions from far away. But we've also got Sherry here, so I want to add her. But yeah, so there are ways to do it, and there's another program called Pedal, I believe, that I've played around with. But it's very difficult to kind of run a stream and to stream it on the internet to YouTube, as well as stream it to somebody else, as well as to record you got to have a pretty good system to do that, and I sadly do not. But that's a great reason for everyone to go find my Ko-Fi link and to donate to me on Ko-Fi, so that one day we can use quantum computing and 6G to just have a multi-site recording session.
Dude.
But welcome, Sherry. What say you about the garden and loving the public?
Sherry.
I wanted to read something to you guys that I wrote a long time. You can still hear me.
You're cracking up a little bit.
All right, I got to bounce, guys. I'll see you guys. If I don't see you for a while, my daughter has been born.
Bye, Chad.
Bye, Chad.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Rigel, I just want to say before Sherry gets going, it's nice meeting you. I watched your rando with Seabax and seen you, and it's good to have you. So welcome.
Thanks.
And one thing I wanted to mention is I don't know if I've ever seen Joy in our comments here. So Joy has now found the McMo streams. Guys, we're going mainstream. We're getting some of the big names
Hey, Joey.
in the corner. Some of the most important people. The real, we're no longer the hoi polloi. We've got some real, big names coming around. That's not just Alan I'm talking about.
He's got the wonderful love of a blessed Redeemer right down in the depths of his heart.
Hey,
and I used to be better at that.
All right, Sherry, bless us, please.
Well, I was trying to think of the word ownership, love, and I was yelling kenosis because I was thinking of this. I was thinking of this poem that I wrote. Ownership, love, and kenosis is marriage, right? When you marry someone, they're bound to you. There's a certain amount of ownership. There's also love, and then there's also a pouring out of yourself. And I love the image of marriage because that's what the story is about, in my opinion. The whole story we're in. Okay, bury me in my wedding dress, the thing that I wore on that day. When looking, you saw inside of me and I could not look away. Bury me in my wedding dress, a veil that covered my shame, that carried the children I gave you and bound us with a new name. Bury me in my wedding dress, the crown that made me a queen, that gathered the sum of my being up into realms unseen. Bury me in my wedding dress, not for marriage's sake, not for these institutions, but for the image it makes. Bury me in my wedding dress, the image I proudly bore, a nocturne of earthly dwelling, the cup from which I poured. Bury me in my wedding dress. That's it.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That's one of your own, right, Sherry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you
that's
reading
one of
that
mine,
on.
yeah.
That's a throwback from the old poetry streams. I miss those streams.
I got tingles every time you
know.
said bury me in my wedding dress. So just want to make sure you have that feedback.
Thank you so much. Danke vielmals. Vielen Dank.
Rigel, do you do much work with lyrics and therefore poetry in your music stuff, or is it mostly the instrumental side?
My lyrics, I do lyrics. I'm growing in my lyrical abilities, but it's not my strong suit. Sometimes I'll have, just lyrics to pour out that are awesome, but I struggle. Like it is, I don't know. I have to like treat it like a job and like garden for the lyrics hard. Like I got some rocky soil down there.
Have you ever read a Psalter?
The are you talking about the Psalms?
Yeah, so like different denominations and different church traditions will. This is how I've experienced it. I could fundamentally misunderstand this and I would be fine. But my understanding is that they're basically like English rewritings of some very popular or sometimes all of the Psalms. And oftentimes they make them so that they rhyme in English. And I've never done it, but I've had this idea for a long time to like look up the Psalter and try to like maybe update one of those or try to get it in a more, a style that feels closer to my own or something.
Dude, I love what you're saying, because I've literally had the thought that part of my work in life is to actually write my own Psalter. And maybe we're all like, that's everyone's job, is to write the Psalter of their life. Have you heard of Saint Ephrem, the Syrian? He like wrote his own Psalter.
I'm going to be reading those, actually. I got a request from my sister that I just do a reading of one of hymns of Paradise.
Yeah.
Because she's dyslexic, so she hates reading. So she would rather just listen. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll just do that. I'll just read one at a time. They're short. They're not very long.
Yeah. How much, Sherry? How much would it take for you to read some Kierkegaard books for me?
About that Psalter thing, I'm ashamed to say I don't have a copy of Graham Pardon's Sun Lilies, but isn't that kind of what Graham did with Sun Lilies, Rigel? Do you know? Do you have a copy of it?
No, what is it?
Oh, I thought it was you that I was talking to.
Graham's Sun Lilies?
Graham Pardon wrote a book called Sun Lilies that was quite promoted by Martin Shaw, by Paul Kingsnorth, by John Hears. And I think that reading, I don't even remember what psalm it was that he did at the North Estuary, but he read one of the psalms in his translation of it. Oh, and it's like, I dare anyone to top it.
Yeah.
It's so
well,
good.
To me, and this is not to take away with what Graham accomplished, because that was a very powerful part of his presentation. And even saying it that way feels like I'm taking away from it, but or making it less than it was. It was beautiful. It was incredible a work of genius and beauty and all of it. But the difficult thing with song lyrics is they have to rhyme.
No, they don't.
The good ones do. The good ones do, Sherry. They almost always rhyme. Come on, we got to rhyme.
They don't have to rhyme.
I'm
Psalm
with
90.
you, Sherry.
Thank you, Joy. That's perfect. Yeah.
Psalm 90, yeah.
Psalm 90.
No, I will definitely check that out. I think, I would I would love to. The Psalms they're just the way they're sprinkled and kind of weave through the New Testament and then through, for me, in the OC, the liturgy. They're kind of like this background. It's like a background beat, and
there is also something like, I feel like I've always felt this.
Like a heartbeat.
There's a heartbeat, but you have to be able to kind of like look through the translation, because what the translation does into English is I think it robs you a lot of the aesthetic beauty of the sound of the words and the mouthfeel of the words and all of that stuff that like people who King David would have. I take it that King David was a quite accomplished artist. If you get basically brought into the king's chamber to calm him down, you're probably pretty skilled. And so especially his Psalms, I've always kind of felt this like nostalgia for Eden kind of a thing, where I'm like, oh man, if only I spoke ancient Hebrew and could listen to these and knew the melodies and all of that stuff. But then there's also the case, and this is mostly, I want to bring this up because I need to rib my friend Nico here. He says rhyming is very old school, and I would say that's easy for him to say when there's only like 5 vowel sounds in his whole language. So that's, just the rhyming thing is cool, Nico, but all of your words rhyme.
I have to say something about rhyming and not rhyming, okay? Because when you rhyme, there's a melody to a rhyme, right? There's a natural melody that exists within the rhyme itself. That's why rap is a thing, and so you can very easy to associate songwriting and rhyming. There's also not rhyming, which tends to be, well, what is it? Shakespeare called it, Shakespeare's time, it was blank verse, right? And, but there's something really beautiful about the constraint of rhyming, I think. Like, I love to practice different forms of poetry so that you can only rhyme like every first and fourth line, or every, and then the 2 lines in between have to be a different rhyme, and when you do that, it's like putting emphasis on syllables, and or if you're thinking about doing it on a computer or whatever, italics or boldface type, you can kind of make the poetry more 3-dimensional, like you can draw things in and out of it. And then you can also impart a spirit to it with either rhyming or not rhyming, or rhyming in certain patterns. That is also interesting.
Yeah, I would love to learn. I would love to learn from you on that. I kind of have these ruts with rhyming where I just the easiest rhyme for me, since I always struggle with lyrics, is just XA XA. Non-rhyming line, rhyming line, non-rhyming rhyming line. But it ends up creating a lot of repetition in the types of songs that I make. And
then you're also subject to the English is kind of lax, actually, for good rhyming. The modern English that we speak, older English had such beautiful language that they had a smorgasbord of words to choose from, right? We've just narrowed it down to a few.
How about this for a mental experiment? Based off of the joke I made about poor Nico's language, it is conceivable that in the hereafter, in the kingdom of God, in eternity, when all of the languages ever spoken by man are reconciled, that there will be a language, whether past, present, or future. When your untranslated poem is translated, it will then rhyme. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are catching what I'm putting down, but there's basically a way in which, like, when you translate a poem that rhymes in one language into another language, you might lose the rhyme. But by that very same logic, you could always translate a poem that doesn't rhyme in one language into a language in which it rhymes, and then it would still complete the rhyme thing, because the rhyme thing is dependent on the language. I don't know if that made sense or if I've just been streaming for too long, but I can't really tell by your facial expressions.
Go for it, Sherry.
All I'm thinking about when you're talking about this, Nick Mo, is the pathetic translations, no matter how well they're done, of Rilke's works from German into English. And because I read and speak German, so it's and I'm sure that's how I would feel about if I was reading a Spanish poet translated into English, right? Because not only do they rhyme in a certain way, and not always, but they also alliterate, right, and use onomatopoeia, but those things can't be translated because languages.
Okay.
So it's difficult in another language to translate properly, I think.
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit, Sherry, but I had a thought.
Oh, sorry.
Two thoughts. I think somehow translation is part of the answer to this question, how do you love the public? But have you all ever heard of translytic songwriting?
No.
Lytic?
Okay. It's this crazy exercise where you take a poem from a different language that's like nothing like English, and you just read it out loud, and you start to just kind of like mumble into lyrics, and you like kind of retranslate it. I don't want to explain the whole exercise here, but basically you kind of like create this mumble lyric track based on this kind of the rhythms of, say it's like a Celtic what's the Celtic language? Old Celtic
Gaelic?
language.
Gaelic?
Yeah, sorry. Thank
Gaelic?
you. Like Gaelic or Hebrew or something like that. And then you do like multiple passes, like 7 or 8 or 9 passes, and these verses start to emerge. It's bizarre. But I've heard some of the most beautiful songs created using this exercise.
I think you're talking about speaking in tongues, and I'm pretty sure that that's demonic.
You guys see this book?
Yes, sir.
This is my copy of the Brothers Karamazov. It's very beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, it's super gorgeous. I love this book. Anyhow,
in Russian or translated?
It's translated.
Русский.
It's translated.
Хорошо, пока.
Shut up. The translator was let's see. I can't remember his name. Translation by Constance Garnett. It's revised with so. But in this, if you've read this book, you'll know that there's a portion in the book where there's a poem that's being told, and it's being told by one of the characters. I can't remember who tells the poem, but the poem is, I think, a fictional poem, right? So like it only exists in the realm of this book. But I was thinking about that, and like the translator, how did he translate the poem from Russian to English and get it to rhyme and get it to tell and get it to get at a specific vibe there?
Well, what you're describing, Chad, is actually the work of an excellent translator over like someone who can live in both languages, not just someone who understands the language, but understands the people, understands the soul of the language, you could say. And there are those translators that are exceptional, and that's that.
And sometimes though they take some liberties. Like I have several different translations of Rilke's work, and some of them are so terrible to me, you know. So, and then to make those things rhyme, Chad, they've got to take some liberties, you know. So they might actually even replace a word to the point that they've replaced a deeper poetic relationship that the poet was trying to, you know, because the word that they're going to use to translate with isn't going to rhyme. So then they have, so it's,
I think it's necessary.
I just envy people
sometimes
who can.
You have to know that it's not the same poem then, but it's trying to get to something, right? So it's not going to ever be the same exact poem. I mean, you and I could read the same exact sheet of paper, and it's not going to be the same poem.
No, because of our own emphasis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever done that experiment with? I went to the store. 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 You know.
I went.
Changes the meaning.
To the store. No, but no, even just not only that, but like just on a kind of maybe a more Karl Barth. I think of Barthian plane, which is what we see in something is not the same always. It can never be fully the same, right? Because it's, I mean, maybe sometimes you'll get intimations of sameness. Oh, what's up, bro? We got a Wilson too.
Howdy.
Anyhow, anyways. Yeah, so
Hey,
see, look at Seabax trying to Wilson me, bro. You just like that. You just gotta tilt the screen. Use the 21st century tools, bro.
Mine's a camera out of reach.
Oh.
I can't reach it.
Nice to see you, Christian.
Hey, Rigel.
I was I was liking the music talk though, guys. The poetry stuff. That all that translation stuff is interesting to me. And like, last night when I was hanging out with Anne, I was hanging out with her belly bump, and you know, like it was the first time where I tried to sing to the baby, but I'm like, I don't know what to sing, you know. So then I just sung that. I was like, I don't know what to sing. don't have the, and so like what I found was, even though I didn't have the words or the melody, if I actually just moved intentionally towards her in that way, it'll still come. And it was like, oh, okay. So like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah. No,
That's
that's freaking beautiful.
I did want to say goodbye to Cece. Thanks for hanging, even though the combo went from philosophy to music to poetry, and she held on as long as she could. I appreciate the company. And also welcome Seabax.
Those are all recorded. Chad, that story reminds me of when my oldest daughter was 3 or whatever. She'd be in the back of the car and she'd sing everything she could see, right? So she'd be like, the cows were in the field and the daisies and the sun was shining, and she'd just go like that for a long time. And then all of a sudden she'd say, do you know that one, Mom? And I was like, I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, yeah, I do actually. I remember that. I said to her, yes, honey, I know that one. When your heart's so bursting that all you want to do is sing it into existence. That's what she was doing. It's beautiful.
I have one of those myself, Sherry.
Yeah, I love it.
A daughter like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's why that just reinforces my point that we all have the opportunity to create the Psalms, translating that which we're all kind of tuned into out into the public.
My husband would say to her, can you sing us a real song? And I'd be like, I'm like, that is a real song. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's probably my most annoying habit is I start singing. I just make up lyrics as I go along with a particular melody, and it simultaneously endears me and irritates the heck out of my wife and daughter. So
yeah. Well, right, but that song or that way of singing has its place, right? Sometimes you want a familiar liturgy or a familiar icon to vibe with. So whether it's listening to Journey, Jewel, or Metallica, or just doing improv playtime, everything has its place.
Yeah, when you want to participate in it together, then you need something that is familiar to both people or all people, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's for the purpose of participation, actually.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Participative about harmony, voices, like I don't know of anyone. There must be someone out there, but I don't know of anyone who doesn't get moved, like emotionally moved by choral singing. I mean, I can't even sing a hymn in church because as soon as everybody sings together, I'm just crying immediately. It's just like, it's terrible. I'm trying to sing,
well, that might actually be the blessing, Sherry, of not having a church close by that you're getting to all the time. You know what I mean? So it always becomes this remarkable, rare thing. That's something I thought a lot about in relation to these live streams. It's like the scarcity of certain things or the scarcity of opportunity is important. I'm not saying we shouldn't have live streams all the time. I think we should. I think it's more me throttling my own participation and engagement, and then it's such that when I do participate, it's like I'm wholly, completely, sorry, not HOLY, presumably, hopefully HOLY, but like
same
WH.
Same word.
Yeah. Fully engaged and happy to be here and excited and all those things. Whereas if it becomes routinized and commonplace and and there's enough, let's say, variation in the patterns and habits and particularities of my life that every little bit of those patterns and habits I can look forward to and participate, enjoy. And when that happens, it's wonderful.
A friend of mine was reading the Philokalia on my advice, And I was inquiring, so how's the reading going? What do you think of it? He goes, that's really interesting. It's got this this movement that's constantly happening. He said it's like, go in your cell, lock yourself in your cell, stay in your cell, pray, fast, be alone, be a hermit, go do the, and then it's like, get out of your cell, get in the garden, sit at the dining table, And I said, that's exactly the way life is, right? Like we need to have those away and alone times to become inward and introspective. And I think then we need to move back out into the world and commune with other people. And then we have to, retreat. Not any one way of being is the ticket. The ticket is being able to transport yourself into those things all, when you need it, when you need to.
Yeah. I mean, if that poem you read, Sherry, Bury Me in My Wedding Dress, if every line of the poem was bury me in my wedding dress, it would just be
boring.
Really boring and like, when is this going to be over? But the way you sprinkled it in, I mean, I see that as like it was a perfect, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, the perfect ratio of that predictable line sprinkled in and bringing new meaning and new kind of perspective to the verse that you wrote before it. And I think that's what these, liturgical patterned, like just going to church on Sunday can do with all of the life that we.
Well, yeah, because what I was thinking about was making the profane sacred, right? So like Neil was talking about making something rare, for example. When you draw yourself away, you make communion rare. Bye, Chad. When you have communion all the time, you make that solitary life rare, right? And
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And so, and when you make something common, you make it profane. When you make something rare, you make it sacred.
Right? Wait, say that again?
When you make something common, you make it profane. So if I was to go visit Matthew Parlato, and he doesn't live there anymore. I was trying to think of someone who lives in Florida. Matt C. Go visit Matt C. in Florida. I'd be out in the woods, looking at the lizards and checking out all the vegetation that I've never seen before. And for him, it would be like, because it's common, it's profane. For me, it's rare, it's sacred. And the same would be true if someone came to me, right? And this is what I love about the sacramental worldview, because it makes the profane sacred.
Yep. The growing up where there was kind of the refrain like every day's Sunday, every day is the resurrection. We always live in the resurrection. And if every day is the resurrection, then no day is the resurrection. Almost like and that's why like you're talking about kind of that sacramental liturgical life and flow of having holy days where those days are set apart, because every day, quote unquote, is not the day that Jesus rose out of the grave. Actually, maybe spiritually you could, whatever, but that was kind of the impulse in that, is like, and not every, to take time to help make those days sacred, to that the meaning, the attention and the meaning, because you're even talking about in Florida, like your attention on the vegetation and the ecology is, if you live there, it's just the water or the air you breathe, like you can't give your attention to it really. It doesn't strike you. That's been, a big spiritual journey for me, is, those types, that liturgical year and, like seasons and as part of religious life as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you could even do that in a place that makes you really truly unhappy. And I think you could do it through gratitude.
Yes.
So yeah.
Like in the desert.
Yeah, or a bad marriage, or
Mm.
like, I mean, life is shitty. We got problems.
Yeah.
Right? So like how do you make those things sacred, right? Because you do it through gratitude, because what you have to be able to show gratitude is an understanding that everything is a gift. And if it's a gift, then it serves a better purpose.
I wonder what the etymology between grace and gratitude in those two words, like grazie.
Look it
like
up.
there's like
Yeah, look it up.
something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody in the hive mind could do us a solid of looking this up, we got the bright lights on us. We shouldn't expect anybody, in front of 14 viewers to be able to multitask and pay attention to the combo and Google etymology. That's just a little too much. I'm already making a beat for you guys. What more do you want from me? Good grief!
You're already doing a chill stream. What the hell?
Yeah, we're trying to chill, and you guys are giving me task upon task upon task. Good grief. I'm serving the public right now.
Grift harder. There's a Ko-Fi link. Make sure you find it.
Yeah, find the Ko-Fi link. Donate to, if you want to help Christian Baxter out, donate to McMo's Ko-Fi link.
And I would say to that young God, thankfulness is Germanic, Duncan, and I actually believe that Eugene Terrakin, who often joins us on Lives of the Saints, just promoting my little Lives of the Saints thing, and Eugene he's this little star in the heavens of translating Russian into English.
Yeah, I got it here.
I think he did a thing recently on his Substack about Duncan and Duncan. How
Donuts.
Duncan is thankful or thank you, and Duncan is to think, thinking and thanking.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So, per Chat GPT, yes, there is a relationship between the etymology of gratitude and grace. Both words share common Latin root. The word gratitude comes from the Latin gratitudo, which is derived from gratis, meaning pleasing or thankful. The root emphasizes the feeling of thankfulness and appreciation. The word grace also comes from the Latin word gratia, which is related to gratis in Latin. Gratia means favor, kindness, or thanks. The concept of grace is often encompasses ideas of elegance, beauty, or sense of giving or receiving favor. So, both.
So, if you can express gratitude in a difficult moment, would you also say that is a form of grace? Being able to do that, right?
Well, that would be like when you mentioned marriage being something like sacramental. Being able to find that in the harder times and the difficult times, that there would be grace given if you were able to find gratitude in suffering, pain type things, for sure.
Yeah.
Some beautiful meditation.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit the road, people. I'm going to get out of here just a few minutes. I drive to Nashville for work a time or two a week, and it's like 5 hours. So,
hey, I'll be in Nashville this week. I got a pretty busy schedule, but I bet I could squeeze in something. Maybe a early morning coffee or a late night
you don't want my
beer or something.
I can do late night beer, but my early morning coffee is clock in at 6:38. So,
hey, it's an hour later for me, so that gives me a little bit of an advantage,
There's a Panera at the hospital I work at.
That's the most insulting thing you could have ever said to me.
Yeah, no,
Panera.
It's
Bro.
not glamorous. It's not glamorous, Nashville. It's not Nashville cool.
I'm going to Cashville, baby. Come on, we gotta do better than that. Pete, youth pastor Pete didn't take me to a Panera Bread, Seabax. Come on, brother.
We went to the same place y'all went. I'm going to be there Friday night, but that's it. That's all I'm going to be there. You'll probably hit back home.
Oh, you're only going to be available Friday night? Well, that's a bummer.
Yep.
Well, we'll send up prayers, and God will know that they're coming from the same spot, and that'll be enough.
Mo,
But thanks for hanging,
Mo.
Seabacks.
All right, guys.
Mo, can't you take a hint? He doesn't really want to meet up with you.
Oh, I can tell. I can tell. You know, I pin it on the old worship leader to sound guy. You know, there's a little bit of animosity there. I know. I know what it's like. Seaback thinks that I'm just a rookie, you know.
Yeah, dude,
But
we'll for sure get together, bro. Yeah, for sure, we'll find a time. We'll find a time, bro.
I'm sure we will, and I'm sure I'll fix that feedback next Sunday. You know.
Dude, yeah, make what? Yeah, dude, we'll get together. We'll find a time.
I'm both disturbed by how good you are at that, and at the fact that like I have had that exact conversation, and that was like so funny. It hurt, or it's so hurtful. It was funny. I can't tell which, but I appreciate you stopping by, brother. Go get some rest. You did church this morning too. I'm assuming.
I did, but it's not because I did it, but because it was done to me. Oh, Baxter, where are you from? Oh, I've never heard of that town. Okay, moving on. Worship leaders conference, not cool enough. So, that's where I was drawing my inspiration from.
Well, there you go. You know, it happens to the best of us.
Every Sunday at a church I went to for 9 years, and I was on the worship team. I was on the
And she was on the worship team. Oh my goodness. All right, Rigel, you got any church hurt stories you want to air out for laughs like the rest of us?
Gosh. I can't think of any.
Well, I can't remember what denomination. You grew up pretty like hippie, right? Like you're Your middle name is Windsong.
My middle name is Windsong. My like the guiding principle of our family was hands raised out in the middle of nature saying, "This is my church." Who was it that said that? Was that like not Ansel Adams? Who's the he's like the National Parks founder.
Walt Whitman or Henry David Thoreau or someone like that.
Someone like it was
a proto hippie.
Yeah.
The transcendentalist they call them.
He like invented the national parks in America.
I like to give Teddy the blame for that. But yeah, it looks like Yon God knows who you're talking about.
Yeah. But yes, so the church was the outdoors was our church. Then I had kind of a Holy Spirit experience in Texas, which means I became Baptist. And then that was right around
as the Lord intended.
As the Lord intended. And then that was around the time, like a couple years later, the emergent movement, the emergent conversation came into view, and I had lots of questions, and they were like, "We love people with questions. We'll give you even more questions." And then that led me to the OC, Orthodoxy.
Dang.
The one true.
It all leads back. Back to the big beards. You can run, you can hide, but you'll never escape the peering eye of Mount Athos. You know, Mount Athos. I saw a tweet today that Mount Athos has given us Americans a warning that 25 is going to be very difficult for us.
Wow.
But I didn't know if they were talking about us or if they meant Orthodox Christians in America, or if the Protestants even.
Canadians, actually, 25 seems to match up perfectly with the tariffs that we just got hammered with today.
Oh my goodness, we need to get Jonathan Demir in here. Let us know what's going on in the heavens, brother. What's going on with Venus being so close to the moon? Have you guys seen that?
Yes,
did you guys see that last night? Phoebus saw it. I saw it.
Pretty beautiful.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I don't know if in living memory, if I had ever seen a planet that close to the moon before. And this is kind of dark, but no pun intended. But after the hurricanes, we've been able to see so many more stars in Asheville, just because like part of the grid is down. You know, like even a small percentage, if it's like 15 to 20% of the grid is down, and so it's like. We can see the stars better. It's very, very cool. So yeah, I've been like noticing all types of star stuff happening, and being able to tell the red shift from the blue shift Now you guys just got me talking like I would with if Jonathan were here. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. Oh, but Rigel, with your thing, you must have run into some sort of like music minister or like, I mean, I'm sure you know about the Gungers, right?
Yeah, but I like, what's his name, Gunger, who was on
Michael
The
Gunger?
Liturgist. Yeah, I only knew about him because of The Liturgist. I was already well out of the scene by then. And I mean, but I was like, as soon as they found out I was.
Rigel is like a veteran Orthodox Christian. He's been an Orthodox Christian since 2006, McMo.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
He fell into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So what are you, Father? You must be Father Rigel by this point, right, or something?
No, I've
Rigel the Areopagite, something
Rigel
like that.
Yeah.
Did you have to take like a Christian name? Is that something they do in Orthodoxy, or is that just a Catholic thing?
Yeah, I mean,
or a saint's name.
My saint name is John Maximovich, I'm 6'6". John Maximovich is like 5'3" or something. So I thought it'd be perfect. He's a modern saint.
Wow. Yeah, with a name like that. Russian?
Yeah, but he's Russian. But I don't, there are some people, there is a tradition of literally changing your name and becoming like a different person. But I don't know what I feel. I don't have a public opinion on that.
Yeah, Cece has given us a great, if nothing else, she's given us the perfect answer for if anybody ever wants to come onto the show and, I'm going to ask you an uncomfortable question and you can just say, I do not have a public opinion on that. And that we will eternally be grateful for Cece. If I had an army of lobster monkeys like Grimm does, then that's the type of thing I would want them to clip so that I could just play it every so often, like whenever,
Yeah.
Because I know that I asked one time Jordan Peterson was in an interview and he actually asked very politely. He was like, can I ask you a very nasty question? And I was like, my kind of shark eyes saw that and I was like, oh man, that is such a good conversational tool to, get to the level of conversation that I'm so often wanting to get to, which is just, asking uncomfortable questions. But that being said, it looks like we've got some activity in the hive mind. Let's see. Yon God's GF, I assume that means girlfriend, read Henry David Thoreau. Which book did she read, Yon God? Did she read... which book did she read? But anyway, totally black-pilled her on Modern Society. Fun times. That is pretty fun. Taya wishing him the congrats. And then Nico, who says, whoa, 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 whoa. Tell me more. And then Nico says, come on, you have to know something. What did she said was so black-pilling? And then we've got some more stuff. Phoebus wanting to let you make sure you understand who you're talking, who the F you're talking to, right? Oh my goodness. Marcher doesn't even know what it's like to have a girlfriend, so he's throwing stones from a glass house. Chad saying, I can't wait to hear the finished beat. Yeah, this is the comic section with McMo. I'm your host, McMo. Totally distractible. Totally, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take this time to make a slight pause. At the beginning of this stream and this morning, I did not want to stream today. I was just thinking, this weekend, I got the blues, man. I don't want to stream. I don't want to do it. But then my wife was like, you should stream. You always feel better after you stream. And so I said, you know what, wife, you're pretty much you're always right. You're always right, lady. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to stream. And so I did. And it had a slow start, making my sad little music. But then eventually you drop the link, people come on, the conversation starts. It's very, very fun. It's very, very interesting. And now I've completely lost track of where the conversation was because I had to do my little prophilicity binge there. But I really just did it for Cassandra and Yon God. And I've been streaming for 3.5 hours, and it's later in the day than I normally stream too, so I'm getting a little loopy, you know.
Yeah. Well, it is that time for me to resume responsibility as a co-parent in my household.
I think that is perfect timing. So let's do some last thoughts, some closing thoughts. And I will upload, in the meantime, the beat that I've been working on in the background.
You go, Rigel.
Oh.
Did we come up? Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that my big takeaway, spiritual takeaway, is having a tool in my back pocket to slide out of a question. I don't have a public opinion about that. It's so juicy. Like it's just like it slides right off. It kind of like diffuses, disarms.
It's great.
And that's important to have a few of those little tools in these types of situations. And to know when to use it and to have kind of that boundary, so you can just, like judo, use a little tool like that and pivot, because there's a lot of little traps that can happen in these conversations.
Yeah, and it's not so easy if you come in sincere and trying to represent your true self. I recommend wearing sunglasses and a hat that says "God's silliest goose," but I know that that's not everybody's MO, you know, so you kind of got to be yourself. I am just as silly in real life, I will say that. But Sherry, we've talked about the garden. We've talked about loving the public. We've talked about translation. We've talked about being buried in our wedding dress. What are your closing thoughts for us?
Oh God. Well, I don't know what the public is. That's one thought I'm having. It sounds like a tall building.
TLC's hottest new club is the public.
The public. There are interestingly enough, what comes to my mind is there are such things as public houses in the UK, right? The pub was the public house. And I don't know, it seems like it was the original estuary.
Yeah, it was the third place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People could loose their tongues a little with the help of, fermentation processes. And I don't know. I guess fists flew occasionally, but probably not as often as we like to think. Yeah, and people were able to make things public that they might not normally say publicly, like, "I love you so much, man." Anyway, that's it. That's my final thought.
Well done. Thank you very much. Rigel, goodbye. Sherry, goodbye. We will end with... Actually, I need to see in the comments before we go. I'll probably be playing some beats. But let me know if you guys want the fast version or the slow version of this song. The beat that we made at the beginning. Do we want the fast version or the slow version? So please put in the comments fast or slow. And then we will go out on some McMo radio with... And I will catch up on the comments, and I'll probably give my 2 cents or whatever. We've got 1 vote for slow. Chad says, "Can you do both?" Yes, but that would mean doing the fast version first. Marcher doesn't have a public opinion on fast or slow. I appreciate that. Phlebas, 150 BPM. The best I can give you is the fast version's 167. Tayo came for the slow. Slow with a follow-up club mix. Okay, I think that is the consensus. We'll start with the slow, and then we'll ramp up, and we'll give it the fast treatment afterwards. But thank you very much, and I will see you guys around the corner. Feel free to look me up on Discord. Feel free to text me if you have my number. But I'll be in Nashville this week, working hard, LARPing for my earthly masters as unto the Lord. Thanks for a great time, everybody.
Was that your American accent? That was pretty good. Sorry. Keep going, Nick.
I was ranting some time ago about art in general being kind of on a...
Wait. I played the wrong one. I thought that it had been uploaded. There's a small possibility that the song is too big to be uploaded, but I've got to re-upload it because for some reason it didn't want to upload. And so here I am, kind of embarrassed at the end of an otherwise completely unembarrassing stream where things went relatively well, having to filibuster while I upload, and wouldn't you know it, the slow version is too large. I'm going to have to rebounce the slow version in order to get it on here, and I am going to start that process right now. But here's the thing, folks. I'm gonna drop it down and drop down the bit rate, and everything's gonna be fine. You won't barely even know the difference. But the thing is, I have to filibuster while I do it, and that also is going to mess up this arrangement where we wanted to do the slow then the fast. I think I might have to fast follow up with the slow boy. Cassandra is getting it. And yes, I know that was the wrong song. I didn't need you guys to comment that. But as you can probably tell, I'm just still trying to filibuster so that I can get this slow version to the people. And I almost bounced the fast version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the fast version. And while it's playing, I'm going to do all this stuff behind the scenes. I probably should have made that decision a lot sooner. But here we are, folks. Thanks for stopping by. These are still my final thoughts.
More of the reality of decisions. It doesn't matter the circumstances that I am in. No matter the circumstances, I can still choose to be moral. Even if it's impossibly difficult, I can choose to be moral. That's the right city.
Neil, hey Neil, what's going on? Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been a while now. We gotta catch up.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that is, yes, that is the spirit that knits all things together for good. But there's nothing beyond yourself to protect other than your relationship to God, because how would you know that anything is worth protecting outside of God, outside of what you receive from God? So it's like, is the thing inside of me? Is it outside of me? It's coming from knowing God. All these things are reflecting God. So you see your relationship, your primary thing is your relationship to God. You see that, and then you see all the things that reflect the goodness of God, and then you can see the value in that. But how could we even act without, an act and know that it's good without primarily saying, no, I refuse, McMo. I will be unaesthetic. I'm sorry, I can't be a hipster like you. But, sorry, I'm just adding on to your point, that's a really good point, but just that, you can't protect anything without first saying this is good or this is what I value. So, where's that going to come from besides your relationship to God?
Right, Joe, you've been waiting patiently.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. What says you pick up on, how's it going?
Yeah, well, I was actually just thinking about when I see Sherry's comment popping up here. Are we a city or a temple or a tabernacle? And as you guys were talking about was, how do you love the public? The thing that I thought about is a garden, like tending the garden of this postage stamp that I occupy on Earth. And in that process, it's what do I really have control over that's outside of what's under my feet and under my groundless ground feet, lovely TLC, vibing on the internet.
Under your skin.
I'm sitting at my piano as well. But what came to mind was also.
Go ahead, Sean.
All right, Sean. Okay.
We got like 4 musical people in here.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the McModalist studio, but.
There are some Tom Waits lyrics. Yeah, Tom Waits lyrics that go, it's got to be more than flesh and bone. All that you loved is all you own. And I think there's something paradoxical about ownership and love and I don't know where I was going with that. Ownership, love, responsibility, and my neighbor.
What about revelation? You have to throw out revelation, but that holds us together.
That's why the gates of the city have to be open or receive something from above.
I'm down with that.
But sometimes revelation is just like, let's sit and be still. And do all those other things that you're speaking, which are vitally important. Wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, remember to wipe my ass when I'm done taking a shit, give my loved ones hugs, make breakfast. Like simple things are very theological, I think. I don't know, I'm kind of going to get too serious. I should probably leave, but hey, Rigel, great to see you, man. Did you
It doesn't matter the circumstances that I am in. No matter the circumstances, I can still choose to be warm. Even if it's impossibly difficult, I can choose to be warm. That's the right city. Neil D. Oh, hey, Neil, what's going on? Long time no talk. Yeah, it's been a while, Al. We gotta catch up. Yeah, seriously. Well, that is, yes, that is the spirit that knits all things together for good. But there's nothing beyond yourself to protect other than your relationship to God, because how would you know that anything is worth protecting outside of God, outside of what you receive from God? So it's like, is the thing inside of me, is it outside of me? It's coming from knowing God. All these things are reflecting God. So you see your relationship, your primary thing is your relationship to God. You see that, and then you see all the things that reflect the goodness of God, and then you can see the God in that. But how could we even act without, an act and know that it's good without primarily saying, no, I refuse, well, I will be unesthetic. I'm sorry, I can't be a hipster like this, but, sorry, I'm just adding on to your point, but just that, you can't protect anything without first saying this is good or this is what I value. So where's that going to come from besides your relationship to God? sorry, Joe. You've been way too patient. Can you hear me? Yeah, you sound good. What says you got something to Yeah, well, I was actually just thinking about what I see Sherry's comment popping up here. Are we a city or a temple or a tabernacle? And as you guys were talking about this, how do you love the public? The thing that I thought about is a garden. Like tending the garden of this postage stamp that I occupy on Earth. And in that process, it's what do I really have control over that's outside of what's under my feet and under my groundless ground feet of the TLC vibing on the internet under your skin. I'm sitting at my piano as well. But what came to mind was also alright, Chad, okay. Yeah, like 4 musical people in here. Check out if I'm in the McModalist studio, but there are some Tom Waits lyrics. Yeah, Tom Waits lyrics that go, it's got to be more than flesh and bone. All that you loved is all you own. And I think there's something paradoxical about ownership and love and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Ownership, love, responsibility, and my neighbor. What about Revelation? You have to throw out Revelation, but that holds us together. That's why the gates of the city have to be open, or receive something from above. I'm down with that. But sometimes Revelation is just like, let's sit and be still. And do all those other things in your days being vitally important. Wake up in the morning. Brush my teeth. You remember to wipe my ass when I'm done taking a shit. Give my loved ones hugs. Make breakfast. You know, like simple things are very theological, I think. I don't know, I'm kind of gonna get too serious. I should probably leave, but, hey, Rigel, great to see you, man. Did you,
As we always, God bless it, As we always love as it all, and the coming of our Savior Jesus Christ.